Hello all! Getting ready to play Rebel Fury, Battles of the American Civil War. This is by Mark Herman. This is a continuation of his Waterloo and Gettysburg system. He's taken it to kind of a different level. I think he changed the combat resolution a little bit in this version, or in Rebel Fury, and I think that's what he's going to do on the go forward, or continue that on the go forward as he explores more American Civil War battles. I believe that's the direction he's taking. The battle that I'm setting up here today is the Battle of the Wilderness, which took place on May 5th and 6th, 1864, which, if I get my calendar correct, I'm going to post this on May 5th. Let's hope I get that right. And this is the setup here, as you can see, where the forces are starting out. And basically, the Union forces are going to be protecting these pontoon bridges. That's one of the main victory conditions of this scenario, is that the Confederates move over to these pontoon bridges, or get them within their zone of control. The Confederates are here. The Union forces bivouacked on the night of the 4th here in the Wilderness, and they're probably going to try to take, as history played out, they were trying to outflank the Confederates, kind of going this direction. The Confederates are probably going to do a straight line attack and upset their desires or plans and try to get to these pontoon bridges. There's one here, and one here. There's some other forces, Union forces, down this direction, and as you can see, there's some cavalry forces out on the perimeters there. And then there's also some reinforcements that are going to come in on turn 2 and on turn 3. Both forces start off with 19 artillery ammo, and there's a couple of detachments that they can bring to bear as well. Detachments you place, they don't move, they cannot attack, they just defend. One of the aspects of this game. And as you can see here, a lot of space. This is somewhat operational. At least the Gettysburg was operational. This feels a little bit more tactical, the way that he's laid it out. But it's an interesting system in that, the command is right there. There's Lee, and then there is Grant. They have a command range, but that's not really where they're at. That just kind of gives you an idea of their realm of operation, or their realm of command. And as long as you stay within that, you can move. You're not supposed to move out of their range. These forces here, if they start out outside of the range, but I think they probably are inside the range. I need to add that up. Grant is 15, so you go 15 hexes and see if they're within range. If you're out of range or out of command, then you need to move into that command. And it's a very interesting system in that you move. So you got 4 movement there. If you're on a road, you can go up to 8 movement, so you can double that. But the minute you go off a road or go into terrain that is changes your formation, see the formation change there. So if you go into the woods or go in the rough woods, you're going to flip over and you're going to become in battle mode. You got maneuver mode and you have battle mode. And battle mode is you can only move 1 hex. But you can also attack too, so that's some benefits there. But you can only move 1 once you go into battle mode. So it's got a really interesting movement system there. And then the combat in this, which I believe is a little bit different than his earlier versions of this system, kind of has a tactical determination, where you're going to determine the battle rating for the defender, battle rating for the attacker. You're going to roll a die, and you're going to see if they're disadvantaged or advantaged or what have you, and then you're going to compare those two. Like if the attacker's disadvantaged and the defender's disadvantaged, then there's a counterattack. And so this kind of cross-referencing gives you what happens in the combat. So a little bit different type of combat. There's still a role, but the role is just to determine your determination, your tactical position determination based on a lot of factors. Like if you're next to a friendly formation, the quality, a number of stars you have on you, stuff like that. As you can see, there's some units have some stars. That means they're of higher quality, and they get to add some of those modifiers. Anyway, I got a lot more to get into before I get this played, but I thought I would start off with this, and I'll let you know what happens. Alrighty, here we are at the end of the first turn. Pretty bloody first turn. See the stack right here. Those are reinforcements that are coming in. Those are all the ones that were blown, mostly Union. And they kind of did a little, the Confederates did a little different tact. Normally they came along this road and this road here. So this road and this road to kind of do the attack. Everything kind of shifted to the north. So it was the Confederates did a line along this road, but also kind of went north on some of these smaller roads up here to go into the Union forces. And as you can see here, a relatively bloody first turn here. Confederate force kind of alone holding this crossroads here, but the Union line was relatively decimated, and the Confederates are in pretty good shape here to go into the next turn. Union get reinforcements, and then the turn after that is, I think, Longstreet's, which kind of came in along this path here. So it should be interesting to see what happens. Again, they're trying to get to the Confederates are trying to get zones of control on these pontoon bridges here. A little bit of action down here, but this was more of kind of a distraction or delay, and not very many units off there. And so it'll be interesting to see what happens with the headquarters. I imagine that they're probably going to go into battle mode. They were in maneuver mode, so they didn't get a bonus there. But if they go into battle mode, they're going to give bonus to their troops. Anyway, that's where we're at so far on the Wilderness. That was first turn. There you have it. All right, end of the second turn. The Union had some reinforcements come along this route here, but they couldn't get all on the board because they ran out of turns. The Confederates didn't have as many units, so they passed early, and then there's a procedure to see how many more turns or that the other side has, and so they got everybody on the board, but not in position. Not as many casualties or blown on this turn. As you see, that second stack there was just Union, no Confederates blown. I might be doing something wrong, but it's really hard to get an elimination on this. I mean, it's a two-step procedure where you determine the battle rating, and then you roll for the defender, and then you determine the battle rating and roll for the attacker, and then you cross-reference the results of those rolls down here. And most of the things are blown. The only thing you really see there as an elimination is a disaster. So that's a SA versus an SD, or a breakthrough, I should say. It's a disaster if it's a defender, but it's a break on an attacker. It's an SA versus an SD. And there's a breakthrough, so you'll get elimination, and then adjacent unit will have to retreat. Haven't had any of those yet. So here's where we're at. A little bit of stuff going on in the pontoon bridge up there. That's going to help out the Confederates on their victory condition, but no victory points on any eliminated units just yet. But then there's going to be a lot of reinforcements coming in on this next turn, most of them Confederate, and then the remaining blown units from the Union. So we'll see what happens this turn. This is going to be a make or break it for the scenario, I believe. So as I get ready to start turn 3, I had some blown divisions, as I mentioned before. And I also mentioned that it's hard to get eliminated units, but here's how you do it, folks. Blown divisions that return get to return at the beginning of the turn However, you can only return 2. So if you have more than 2 divisions, your opponent gets to determine which 2 get to be put back on the board, and the rest are eliminated. So we're starting to get a pile of eliminated units. The Confederates have 1, and the Union have 3 there. And then you put the returning units, the returning blown units, next to the headquarters of the respective sides. So here we go, getting ready to start turn 3 here. And the Confederates have quite a bit of reinforcements that are coming to their aid. Will it be enough to break through the Union lines? Okay, finishing up the third turn, as you can see, the casualty stack or eliminated stack is starting to increase and level out on both sides. Why is that? Well, when you end up having a blown unit, when you put a blown unit 2 turns ahead, and when there's only 1 turn left, then guess what? They're going to be eliminated. So that's how you get some eliminations, especially in a shorter turn scenario. Like this only has 4 turns, so that's why we're getting more eliminations. I mentioned before that the focus of the scenario for the Confederates is really twofold. One, it's to try to get a zone of control on these pontoons. The other scenario, or the other victory condition really for the Union, and the reason why the Confederates are trying to go for these pontoon bridges, is that the Union needs to trace a line from on a rail or a road from one of these pontoons all the way over to this hex here, this entry A hex, but it has to be 35 hexes or less. So their primary way to do that is to kind of go this direction, because if you go too far out this direction, it's going to be more than 35 hexes. So the Union really tried to do a flanking maneuver knocked that off over here, around the Confederate right, as you're looking that way. They're trying to do a flanking maneuver to try to secure this area, to kind of push these back a little bit so they can get a shorter route over to that hex from these pontoons, probably from this one or this one possibly. However, that failed. The Confederates kind of reinforced their right flank and were able to really push the Union back and get some casualties there. On this side, the Confederates tried to do a flanking maneuver on the Union right, and that kind of failed. The Union reinforced. Remember, they had a lot of units here that never fully got on board, but never really got in position. So they were able to get in position and really staved off an attack here, because the Confederates were going to try to go for this pontoon here. Now they have 1 turn left, and they still might be able to do that, but really disorganized here. In fact, as you can see, they're all around the headquarters. Now, headquarters in this game are not really where the headquarters are at. So Lee is not necessarily there. This is just kind of the center of his command. So it just kind of represents a radius, not necessarily his actual location. So these can't even attack headquarters. But they, as you can see, they really kind of really cut into the Confederate line there. The problem is they cut it into there. They really needed to cut it into here so they can get that trail. So I'm going to get ready to get into the last turn, and we'll see what happens. Alrighty then. Well, this one kind of turned the tide on the last turn here. The Union eked out a victory here. If you look here at the generalship victory, it's victory points based on eliminations. And guess what? That stack evened up. So kind of amazing, but the stack evened up, so the victory points were equal there. Again, I might messed up a few rules here and there, but this is what we ended up with this time. And as for the strategic, all the pontoon bridges had to be clear, and they were. There was a little bit of activity here. It's really kind of weird on the pontoons because once you go into battle mode with the headquarters, you're out of command, and so you got to start moving back this way, at least for the Confederates. And so, I don't know, that got a little wonky. I don't know how the Confederates, if they don't push far enough to get their headquarters within 6 of this, then they probably need to stay in maneuver to try to take over those pontoons. So I probably messed up something there. Anyway, but you had to have a 35 hex or less path from this point right here all the way over to one of these pontoons. And actually it's less than 35. It's like 26 or something from this pontoon boat. Pontoon bridge, sorry, pontoon boat. Used to own a pontoon boat. Pontoon bridge all the way over to here. Lot of activity here, and the Union was able to clear this out eventually. If you just saw my earlier photo, there was like an encirclement here, but they were able to clear this out. Put a detachment here, but the detachments have to be within the command range, so you had to be within 6 hexes. If I could have pushed this detachment out just a little bit further, an attachment only exercises a zone of control, not a zone of influence, so it's only the 6 hexes around it. But if I could have got this detachment like 1 hex out over here, it would have messed up that route, and the Confederates would have stopped a strategic victory there. But they just couldn't get out far enough. And put a detachment here for the Union. It really didn't come into play because this kind of broke down. The Union was able to get enough forces here to kind of stop this flanking maneuver, so they couldn't get to this pontoon. Plus, it was going to be really kind of hard to get to this pontoon anyway because you had to go around this way and go around this little bend here. But anyways, there you have it. That is the final Union victory, unless I messed up the rules, which I probably did. But there you have it. This very interesting game. I really like how this plays. The whole aspect of movement's very important. As you move, when you get into a zone of influence or a zone of control, you have to flip over to the battle side, and so your movement now is down 1, and so it really slows things down, but it gives you that feel of maneuver and getting into the thick of the fight. I probably messed up on the headquarters, but that's a whole new interesting dynamic too of having it your headquarters in maneuver mode. You can have a larger zone of or range of command, but once you get into battle mode, you get the benefit of the battle, which really helps out in some of these battles, which helped out the Confederates early, but it limits how much your theater of operation. So I really like it. The combat system with the 2 layers of doing the comparison and the roll, and then doing a comparison of what your result from that roll, and that tells you what to do. It's interesting. This game plays relatively fast. That kind of makes it go a little bit longer, but I understand. I understand that it adds a little bit more flavor to the whole system. Anyway, there you have it. The Wilderness, posting this on May 5th. Played it much, much earlier. So anyway, take care. Thanks for watching.